Hi. Hey, hey, Shelby Live here, agency owner for TravelFun.Biz, where your fun is our biz. And talking about something really important that I don't think is discussed enough, and it's coming up again and again and again. So I really want to go over this because it's almost like when we tell you the answer, people don't believe it, and there are real consequences to this. So as a trusted travel advisor, all of our advisors are very trustworthy and your information is confidential. So this is one of the perks of working with a travel advisor, right? You get to ask them the hard questions, and travel can be very personal, health issues, health related issues, medicines, and of course, medical marijuana. So let me go over really quick why this is a no-go, okay? Because I care about you guys. Do not do this on a cruise ship. So most things that are done ashore could be strictly forbidden on board. And the reason is because federal law and cruise line rules apply, not local state laws. So they supersede them. So the violations can not only end your vacation, they could get you banned from that cruise ship forever, and you could have a record and a fines. So people go, oh, but it's legal in my state. I've got a card, I've got a prescription, I've got a doctor's note. Marijuana may be legal where you live, but cruise ships follow federal law, not state law. Federal jurisdiction applies even when docked in legal states. This creates a lot of confusion for many passengers, so we're here to clear it up. Why even medical marijuana is a no-go on cruises. So cruise line rules, all cruise lines prohibit cannabis, all of them, and related products, including medical marijuana. All forms are prohibited, including gummies and edibles, as they call them, vape pens, tinctures, all of it. It's not allowed. Federal law status is that the U.S. federal law classifies marijuana as a Schedule 1 controlled substance. So even if you have a prescription, it doesn't matter. If the guy's on a bender to get you in trouble, it's going to happen. And sometimes they really are. They just want to get people in trouble. So I want you to understand it's kind of like speeding, where a lot of people do it and most people get away with it. But if you don't get away with it, the consequences are really grave, even more so, of course, in this case. But just to give you an idea. So what happens if you bring it, if you're caught and security catches you on board, they will remove you from the ship during the boarding process and they will hand you over to the authorities. And there can be lifetime consequences. And I do not want to see that happen to anyone I know. So please, until the rules change, please abide by the rules. Can you use it at a port of call? So I would say no, but I'm going to go over some ports in a bit that are a little bit more lenient. But you got to do your research, and the local laws apply. No return on board. Cannot bring anything on board. The weed laws in the Caribbean, I know the Caribbean is a little bit noted to be more lax. What you need to know. Even if cannabis is legalish at some ports, it's still illegal. And it's most terminals too, by the way. So you can be denied boarding, arrested, or fined. And here are the most common cruise stops where weed laws seems relaxed, but not so much. Jamaica, be crazy. Limited medicinal use is allowed, but public consumption is still illegal. And there are actual tourist penalties, and they could be severe, despite the country's cannabis reputation, Bob Marley, all the love. But what happens here, in my opinion, is actually sometimes, believe it or not, the police forces actually do want to be harder on tourists. So they let their citizens get away with stuff. So you might think it's okay. Certainly, citizens might try to sell you something. Often that can be a setup as well. But unfortunately, you can as a tourist be just singled out because you have money and they want your money. So all of these things carry fines. So that's the sad reality. I don't think it's fair. It certainly wouldn't be that way if I was in charge, but I am not in charge. The Bahamas, strictly illegal, actually. Despite rumors of the tolerance, possession can result in imprisonment and heavy fines for visitors. I actually had a guest who had a cannabis cookie that was prescribed to her, and it was in her beach bag, and she didn't realize. And when she came on board in the Bahamas, the authorities found it, the ship authorities, and they gave her off to the Bahamas authorities, and it was a big ordeal. Luckily, in her case, I guess the guy the police officer decided to sternly overlook it. I mean, it was a real back and forth. I think a lot of tears were had, and I don't recommend that being your only, try it, just cry out of it. I don't think that that happens for everybody. But she did get out of it, which is great. But they did say sternly, if you ever come back here and bring this illegal substance into our country, you will go to jail here. So it's a big deal. Puerto Rico, medical marijuana is legal, but recreational still remains prohibited. U.S. federal law applies at ports. Uh, California does have some other rules. We don't really cruise out of California, but if you can check out those rules if you'd like. I just really don't recommend playing with this fire. Important reminder, ship rules and federal laws always supersede local laws, local cannabis regulations. So what's legal ashore is still prohibited when returning to the cruise ship. So think twice. No amount of cannabis is worth risking your vacation facing potential legal consequences or even being banned for future cruises, right? These things are really huge, huge issues I really would never want to have you have to deal with. So let's move on. Real cruise passenger stories. So, embarkation ejection, passengers can be removed, are removed for bringing edibles on board during check-in if they're found. I do find that this is the least amount of time that people get in trouble, and I think it's because they just want people to get on board and they don't want to halt any of the any of the embarkation process. I've seen people get in trouble when they are on board and going back and forth through port, like I just talked about in the Bahamas. I've seen most people get arrested when the ship returns to the port, like Miami. Legal consequences. Cruises are handed to authorities for possession, even with prescriptions, and increased security. Some ports now deploy canine units and to detect marijuana products. I know for sure that Carnival has a marijuana dog, a drug dog for marijuana. So please play it safe, know the rules, understand the jurisdictions, leave it behind. From your trusted travel fun friends and advisors, book with a trusted travel agent. We save you time, we save you money, and real professionals are here to answer the hard questions. We are better than bots. So don't waste your time and your money. Call Travel Fun 833 TRVLFUN. I'm Shelby. You're fabulous. We'll see you on the next cruise or resort. Bye bye for now.